Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back to the Two Goats Show. We're your hosts, Miriah and Steph, and tonight we're joined by a very special guest for our Through Her Eyes segment. The one, the only, Miss Gina, the Ravens knowledge of all knowledger. We'll just make up words as we go. Miss Gina, I'm so glad we could finally, that we finally got around to 49ers Ravens week. I'm so excited to do this with you. Thank you for coming on with us.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for asking me. I appreciate you, Miriah. It's very nice to meet you, Steph. But Miriah, she hangs out. I'm like a spaces queen. Like, that's my thing. I love being in spaces. And I can always look forward to looking down there in the listeners and seeing Miriah's avatar. Like, she hangs out with me all the time in my primetime spaces or my Ravens flock spaces. So I appreciate you for doing that. I'm sorry you're not feeling well today. I hope you feel well. Feel better very, very soon. There's so much stuff going on out there. So everybody take care. Y'all take care of yourselves.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Steph, how you doing?
I'm good. I also share that same sentiment. Like, so sorry you're not feeling well, Miriah. And yeah, there's definitely stuff going around. I was sick last week and had to, cancel a couple shows. So yeah, definitely something going around. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves. But happy to be here. Happy, Miriah, that you're like powering through here. All the fans here appreciate it, and I appreciate it too. It's gonna be a good show, and I'm so excited to ask Miss Gina some questions.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to the schedule came out in April, May. So then we knew we were playing each other on Christmas, and then we had to wait all this time, but now it's here.
Before we get started, as they both mentioned, I am under the weather, so that's why I'm not on camera today. I apologize if I have, sound like a frog. If I have to mute unexpectedly, just know that I'm probably hacking my lungs out. So, just bear with us. We'll get through it. Before we get into any specific, things about our game, I kind of just wanted to talk to you. You had a lot of changes, Miss Gina, with the Ravens over this past year. Obviously, 49ers faithful are well aware of Greg Roman. And I would listen to you guys complain and want to get him out of there so bad. And I would just be thinking the whole time, like, I know exactly how this feels. So 100%. Obviously with that, Lamar got paid. So just a bunch of things. You guys finally got some wide receivers, got some weapons. So kind of just talk to us a little bit about, what you've seen, take place with this Ravens team over the past 16 weeks now, I guess.
Okay, right. I'll try to do that very quickly, but y'all know I get long-winded talking about my team. But yes, during the off season, there were actually a lot of changes that occurred on our team, and obviously the ones that you brought up, right? Like Lamar got paid. Lamar got paid. Eight got paid. We changed up our OC, went from Greg Roman to Todd Monken. Yay. Our DC came back. That was a rookie with us, last season. That dude, he's great. I want to get into him a little bit. But some of the other changes, obviously Odell Beckham, like I will never forget when we signed Odell Beckham Jr. because it was on Resurrection Sunday. It was Resurrection Sunday, and I was like, Lord, the Ravens have risen. But, so I'll never forget that, right? And prior to that, we actually signed Nelson Aguilar. And the timing of it, we didn't have anything against Nelson, but it was like, we had this promise from our GM that he was going to revamp, our wide receivers room. And I believe him. When he says he's going to do something, he does. But the very first notification we got about a revamping of our wide receiver was Nelson Aguilar. So we were just like, huh? Like, is this what we're doing? We just weren't sure what was going on. So we got Nelson. And then we got OBJ. And then during the draft, as we sat there with bated breath, no, we were holding our breath because the Chargers picked right before us, and we knew that they were eyeing wide receivers. Zay Flowers on the board, as well as Quentin Johnston. The Ravens absolutely wanted Zay Flowers, but we just weren't sure, and that their pick was right before ours. So literally, we were holding our breath. The moment that Roger Goodell said that they had picked Quentin Johnston, literally, I personally let out a blood-curdling scream that you probably would not want to hear, but it is recorded because, we were having this thing. And we were so deliriously happy that we got Zay Flowers right. Did I say Zay Jones? Because sometimes, forgive me, Zay, if I
No, you said Flowers.
Zay Flowers. Okay, okay. And so, that was great. But some of the other pieces that people don't really talk about, the fans aren't really into, was the revamping of our position coaches. We had a lot of changes to our position coaches this offseason, and that made a huge difference, right? So some people got moved around. Like T. Martin was already here. He was in at wide receivers coach last season, which was strange to us anyway. But he transitioned to be the QB coach. So T. Martin's the QB coach. We actually brought in Willie Taggart, who is our running backs coach. We got Denard Wilson, who is our DB's coach. Great pickup there. And then also Greg Lewis, wide receivers coach. So Greg Lewis, our wide receivers coach. And then Keith Williams is our assistant wide receivers coach. And then another one, and then we talked about Mike and Todd. And they weren't the only change. It was actually a few more. But basically, at all of your major position groups, other than linebacker and O-line, we had other coaches that were brought in. And I indeed can see the difference in our players this season because we had good players. But just bringing in those different coaches with the skill set that they have and being able to pull out that talent that those players had and, give them the additional the information, the skills, especially I'll say our outside linebackers, right? Because we're not one of the teams that had one of those notable defensive ends. We didn't have that. And we're in a division where there are a lot of notable defensive ends, the Browns, they got Garrett, and the Steelers, they have Watts. The Bengals, they got Trey Henderson and all that. We didn't have those names per se. But the bottom line is our new outside linebackers coach, he actually just came in and just revamped those guys. We don't have them all because Ojabo was injured and he's on IR right now. But what he was able to do with who we have, what's going on, and especially and I'll land here, especially what Mike McDonald is doing for our defense, how he has put those players in the position to win, to be successful. The way Kyle Hamilton is literally all over the entire defense, from the DBs to the linebackers to the D-line. He plays through all of that, right? We lost Calais Campbell, but we had those young guys. We knew about them. Most other people didn't because they were sitting behind vets. But now, those young guys are playing now, right? Matabike, Travis Jones, who was injured last year and all of that. So it's been super exciting, the coaching changes that were made over the offseason that helped to revamp our team, right? Along with the wide receiver room, being revamped, along with getting our new OC, the name of Todd Monken, who's brought back, pro-style offense, great offense to our team. So a lot really happened over the offseason, of which we were absolutely grateful.
Yeah, I'm sure you were so I can't imagine how thrilled you were when the freaking what are they, Los Angeles Chargers, when they make that stupid mistake, because man, and he still has time, obviously, he's a rookie and whatnot, but I'm sure they're kicking themselves in the ass for not taking Zay.
Zay just a complete fit for our team, and he knew it. Found out when he came here for his visit, that he told them, "I'll be back." So he felt right at home. He felt like he was coming back, and he was. He did.
I love that.
I want to ask you before we get into Lamar, because that could be like a whole big conversation in itself, right? But before we get into Lamar, I kind of want to ask you about the Ravens' run game, because outside of Lamar, because the running backs have gone through a lot of changes throughout the years with all the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And this past week, unfortunately, Keaton Mitchell, who was having a phenomenal year, tears his ACL, and so he's no longer going to be available for the Ravens. How do you guys pivot? Yeah, I mean, you guys have been in this situation before, but how do you kind of sense that the Ravens will kind of pivot back to, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill?
Right. Well, I don't know that we actually went away from them per se, but obviously the offensive burst, the offensive excitement that Keaton Mitchell brought, that speed, like, just kind of changing the pace, because the dude, we call him Road Runner. That's actually his nickname. So obviously we were absolutely devastated when he got injured. Devastated because we had not even had an opportunity to fully explore, everything that he could do in this offense, right? Heading to, this December football, right? And then heading into the postseason, he was such a weapon for us. So to lose Keaton Mitchell was like, y'all don't even understand how devastated we were. We were absolutely devastated. Hearts go out to him. Speedy cup recovery. We'll see you next season, my dude. But Gus the Bus, like you don't. Gus the Bus he's going to do his job. He's going to, if we need that third down, he's going to get it. He has been tremendous at the goal line for us this season. He has like 11, 12 touchdowns, like red zone. He has been a red zone, like just monster for us this season, right? And so he's going to give us 5 to 6 yards to carry, on average. That's what he does. Justice Hill, also another good back. He's gotten many more touches this season than he has previously. Obviously because we lost JK again the very first game. Why can't we have JK out there with Lamar out there? No one fully understands every time we lose JK, like what a loss that is. Like JK out there on the field with Lamar, with the pass catchers we had, I dare say we would probably be undefeated coming into the season. I don't quiver saying that. If we had JK this entire time, we would likely be undefeated coming into this game with you all, heading into this week to play the 49ers. But we know we lost JK, and we signed Melvin Gordon, who you guys are going to see, Monday night, because we brought him up from the practice squad. Our run game is going to be fine. Because one thing the Ravens know how to do is run the ball. That's not a struggle for us. We know how to run the ball. Gus is going to get it done. Justice Hill is going to get it done. And Melvin Gordon, actually, before he got put on the practice squad, when we brought up Keaton Mitchell, he was actually playing well in the games that he played in. He was good in the passing game. He doesn't have the speed and the burst of a Keaton Mitchell and none of them, but he still definitely has some juice with him. And, he was running hard. So I'm not concerned about the run game. And obviously, we have a true dual threat quarterback. So the run game is always going to be a threat because he is absolutely a dual threat. And defenses are always going to be concerned about him. So I think our run game will be great. Are we going to be missing that explosive speed that Keaton Mitchell was bringing? Absolutely. Absolutely going to be missing that. But we're going to be fine with our run game.
Yeah, I hate that you guys have had some of the worst luck with your running back health, like
every
the last
year.
few years.
Seems like,
Man.
100%.
Steph, you said you wanted to get into Lamar. Go ahead. Take it there.
Well, I guess before I do, I did a preview episode right before this on my channel, and I came across a crazy stat that the Ravens have gone 30 consecutive games with 100 yards or more on the ground. And I think that just speaks to, even with the injuries, like you guys are able to get a run game going. And a lot of that does have to do with Lamar and his threat. So I haven't watched a ton of Ravens games this year.
Mm-hmm.
I watched
Mm-hmm.
the one this past week, against the Jags because that was prime
Right.
time, and then I got a
Right.
chance to watch the Rams and Ravens game because I think what the Rams do, or their offense is about the Shanahan scheme. So a lot of it is about the same of what the 49ers do, just with different wrinkles. And one thing I noticed it's clear that, this year with Todd Monken, like one of the things that's been emphasized and changing is Lamar running less or less out of game plan. Like it's not
Design runs.
planned
Designed
really. Yeah,
runs.
design runs. Yeah,
Right.
sorry. The word was
Yes.
escaping me. Designed runs. And so
Yes.
now it's more so out of necessity. How are you feeling about that change? I think it's great that Lamar's being used more in the pocket because he's an awesome passer, and that's not something that the league has really seen as much as they probably could have and should have. But how do you feel about what they're trying to do on offense? Because I kind of feel like they're going for the deep shots. Maybe do you feel like they're missing some of the intermediate stuff? Would you like to see more of that of their offense?
So, absolutely, Lamar has been running less. You're correct. Not that many design runs, but obviously the RPO is always going to be in our arsenal. And so, that's probably more so where he decides to keep it, right? He just decides to keep it and he goes. But he has always been he's always been a pocket passer, and this is what I mean by that. People be like, oh, no, he's not. He likes to run first. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. What I mean by that is Lamar loves to stay in the pocket and dot the ball up. One of his great gifts is his running game. That is just a great talent and a gift that he has. It is not the only gift and talent. He prefers to stay in the pocket and dot you up, right? But the offense that the Ravens ran based off of the previous coordinator that we had was a run first offense. So he had to operate in the offense of the OC that we had. Now we have Todd Monken, who is not a run first offense. Not that he doesn't run the ball, and we don't want to stop running the ball. Who wants to stop running the ball? You need a run game in the postseason, and all throughout. You need to have a run game, but Lamar definitely decides to just stay in the pocket. So much so that we're now saying, Lamar, just go in and run, man. It's some open green right there. Just get the 5 yards and go out. Go out the sideline.
Right.
But he loves to pass the ball. That is really his thing. So I think a lot of people confuse the offense that we had before with who Lamar is as a quarterback. And those things weren't necessarily congruent. Lamar has the talent to run, execute a run first offense. He has the talent to execute the spread offense, as we can see, right? But he was executing the offense that we had previously with that coordinator. Now we're doing the spread. He loves it. He'd rather stay there in the pocket and dot it up. In this Jags game, he did go ahead and take off running some more because the Jags defense, they were trying to, cover, right? And that's the beautiful thing, right? That our offense has evolved because people are trying to make sure our pass catches are covered. They are respecting our passing game. That was not something that was respected. It was just like, all you got to do is put 8 in the box. Put 8 in the box, stop the run, and you can beat the Ravens. So I've heard a number of fans, in the spaces that we're in, all you got to do is stop the run. All you got to do is stop the run and make Lamar pass the ball. Talk to some of the teams that came in with that philosophy. They lost the game because Lamar dotted them up. So the bottom line, teams or defenses are having to respect our passing game. So that's leaving lanes now for Lamar, but he's choosing to stay in the pocket. In my personal opinion, sometimes it's a little bit too long. Like my personal opinion, 3-4 seconds, if it ain't there, either move and move the pocket or just go ahead and take off, bruh, and just not. I don't want you to get hurt, and he doesn't get hurt. He's never gotten hurt from running. Listen, Linda, listen. Lamar Jackson has never gotten hurt from running the ball. The times that he's gotten injured has been in the pocket, just outside the pocket, when he's trying to pass the ball. If nobody doesn't listen to anything else that I say here tonight, he has never gotten hurt running the ball. Say it with me, people. Lamar Jackson has never gotten hurt running the ball. He's gotten hurt only those times that he's gotten hurt on the field. He was in the pocket. I just want to make sure everybody gets that part. So, he's gonna stay in there. He's gonna dot the ball up. But getting to the time that we're in, he's gonna have to take off running. As long as my man takes off, gets down, or goes out the sideline and all that kind of stuff. Having that dual threat is a blessing. I love having a dual threat quarterback. I love having somebody who can get it done through the air and on the ground.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. So I did see like Lamar's time to throw is 2.95 seconds. That is on the higher end. So like, yeah, that checks out with what you said and what I saw in those two games. I saw too. For reference, like Jalen Hurts is 3.05. Different quarterbacks. I'm not comparing them and just talking about the time to throw and being in the pocket and whatnot. But yeah, so if Lamar could ever find that balance of, being in the pocket, but when it is time to, run out, man, watch out. Cause that's when this offense is really going to be dangerous. It's already dangerous, but I think that'll be unstoppable at that point. But Miriah, go ahead. You're going to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's nice to see, Lamar finally getting I feel like since his MVP season, I know, obviously Ravens fans, but NFL fans overall have kind of been robbed of everything that we should be seeing from Lamar. And of course, some of that has to do with injuries, not running, of course, injuries from being in the pocket. And some that has to do with Greg Roman, that has to do with, the weapons and, all a bunch of different stuff. But, it's so nice to actually see, Lamar getting used, like a true quarterback, instead of just a running weapon. And, like you said, Steph, that, a lot of the NFL, I felt like didn't, respect Lamar. And, you would hear that, running back and he can't throw and he's not accurate, the same shit that they always pile on when talking about mobile quarterbacks. But really that's not Lamar's fault, right? The guy's freaking good and we're finally seeing that. And, obviously the Ravens are in the position they are, and that has a lot to do with Lamar. I kind of want to take it out of this game for a second and just get your thoughts on this, Miss Gina. A big thing going on with 49ers fans and national media and whatnot is this MVP race. As an outsider, I kind of just want to get your thoughts. And obviously we know, Lamar's up there in the running, Tyreek, whatnot. But strictly when it comes to Purdy and CMC, I want to get, an outsider's thoughts on if you were to be choosing, if you're the MVP choice or chooser, whatever, who out of those two do you think is the MVP, for the 49ers, for the league, whatever, however you want to take it? I just kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
Okay, sure. So I actually tweeted about this because somebody else had tweeted that and I responded to it. So I would say based off of the criteria that is typically used to determine who's the MVP is clearly Brock Purdy, right? Because they're going to go to stats. They're going to go to touchdowns. They're going to go to yards. They're going to go to your touchdown and interception rate. These are the things that are used to determine, who gets the MVP. It was the factors used, when Lamar, had the MVP. He actually had the most passing touchdowns that season, in addition to his yards and all that kind of stuff. So it would be Brock Purdy. And I think everybody, understands that. that is as far as the criteria, as far as what they typically use to determine who's the MVP. I think going into this game, whoever wins the game will probably lock in that MVP vote. So if, and I'm saying if the 49ers win, then I think Purdy will be locked in and like there will be, there will be nothing else. I think if the Ravens win, prayerfully we do, then I think Lamar, despite the stats, I think Lamar would get it because I just think this game, you have basically the two of the top. Well, we know this. Even though there's a lot of us fans who feel like the MVP this year perhaps should go to a non-QB, right? CMC is up there. Tyreek is up there. But we know traditionally they give the award to a quarterback. So just going with that, I think whoever wins this matchup is probably going to be locking in that MVP decision vote. Just because they're going against each other, like how apropos, right? That the two 11-3 teams in the NFC and the AFC, two top of MVP candidates are battling it out on Monday night on Christmas. Like we couldn't have written a better script, right? In NFL, but we couldn't have written a better script for that. So I think that's how it will go down. I will say this, because I already tweeted it, so it's not anything new. Some 49ers fans may be offended, and that's okay, because I will defend my quarterback to the hilt, always. I'm always going to do that, and I expect 49ers fans to defend their quarterback to the hilt. Like, that's just what it is for me. I actually typed in the tweet when I responded to it that I felt like Purdy is VIP for this team. Absolutely. Very, 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 very important person because you guys have had a stacked team. You didn't have a quarterback that can consistently execute for you, and you find yourselves, not getting where you wanted to get, right? And you got that now with Brock Purdy. And so you can't take anything away from that. So absolutely a VIP. But for me personally, as a Ravens fan, this is not me answering as, this is how typically the votes go, and all that kind of stuff. For me personally, I feel like Lamar Jackson is the literal MVP for our team. So he is he is the glue for our team. We go as Lamar goes. If Lamar is not, playing, the likelihood of us winning the game is not likely. It's just not likely. Thank God that hasn't been tested, this season. Don't want it to. Believe in God to keeping that man healthy, all the way through. But our team has only gone as Lamar has gone. And typically if Lamar is injured, and we could be winning all along. Usually when Lamar gets hurt, we will be leading the AFC, and then he gets hurt and we slide on down. We'd be leading our division. He gets hurt and we slide on down. But he always has us set up to make the playoffs. So we didn't have to miss the playoffs just because he got hurt. He is the literal MVP. So in my purple colored glasses, Lamar is MVP. But for the purposes of the data that they use typically to determine who the MVP is, it goes to Brock Purdy. I don't have a problem with that at all. Not at all.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I don't have a problem with you saying, Lamar's MVP for the Ravens. Like that's clear as day. And I think, other people would see that criteria as being most valuable too. And it's all very subjective, which, why there's a big panel of people who vote for it. So yeah, it's all about what people decide. But yeah, mostly the stats. Lamar's stats aren't, they're great, but they're not up there. So yeah, this game definitely is gonna help decide that, which is crazy because I think I feel like we've been doing this all season. Like Brock all season has been at the top of stats, a lot of rankings, at almost every like quarterback statistic you can find. And then it was like, oh, Dak. But Dak, what he's doing is great. And then I was like, but Hurts, what he's doing is great. And then, Brock or the 49ers, beat those teams. And then those players fell out of favor. And now it's like, oh, but Lamar. Honestly, like, I feel like Lamar and like the Ravens are this team that's like, they quietly are an 11-3 team. And I say that because I feel like the rest of the like media wasn't really talking about the Ravens early in the season. Like it was all about the Cowboys, the Eagles. I don't know if it's just because I'm in this circle of like NFC teams, but that's kind of just the sense I got.
Miami.
Like, Miami, like everyone's talking, even the Bills. The Bills was terrible, I feel like in the last
small
few
market.
weeks, everyone remembered how good the Ravens were, and oh yeah, they're 11-3 now. And so now Lamar has entered the conversation. He probably should have been in the conversation from the beginning. But I guess like my point is, this is the next goalpost that like people are moving for Brock Purdy, where it's to discredit him or like find another quarterback to put up against him. And this is the last big test, I think, for Brock to really make that case, which maybe in my eyes he's already made the case, but for some people this is going to be the game. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. What you got, Steph?
Okay, so I guess let's talk more about the 49ers offense and the Ravens defense, because the Ravens in their own right have a great defense. You mentioned Kyle Hamilton earlier in the show. The defensive tackle, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Metabuke? Is that how Metabuke. He's insane. He's insane. And both of those guys are chess pieces in their respective, positions, right? And so I guess like how do you feel like this defense matches up with the 49ers and the, allotment of playmakers that the 49ers have? And looking at the past 2 weeks of the Ravens defense, like how they performed against, let's say, the Jags in the first half, I felt like the Jags had some opportunities in that game that, quite frankly, maybe most other teams like that were more focused, or I don't know what was going on with them, but, probably would have taken advantage of those opportunities. The Rams, similar offense as the 49ers, had some success. Kyron Williams had a lot of success running the football. So how do you feel about this matchup going up against this 49ers team? Do you feel like that some of those seams are starting to show a little bit on this Ravens defense?
So for me, it's probably, I don't know that players are actually like this for real, but as fans, we just have these things and things that we say, right? So we say, oh, my team like to get up for certain teams and they may not get up for other teams. I don't know that players are actually thinking that, right? And I can't say they are, but as fans, we say that. But I do know from a fan perspective, the Ravens like to get up for certain teams, right? And so I just think that the 49ers are one of those teams, probably one of the few teams in the NFC that they for real get up for, right? Every time our teams meet, it's a battle, right? It is absolutely a battle. Nobody is like running away with anything. Whoever wins by 3 points or field goals, something like that. Like it's a battle. It's we got to slug it out. The teams have been evenly matched. I do feel like this season, your team is obviously what I have been calling an Avengers team or super team for some time now, since early this year, probably late last year. I identified the 49ers because of what you have on both sides of the ball, right? And especially on offense. Like, I'm like, who allowed the 49ers to get CMC? Why? Why? They had Debo. They had Kittle. Like, you had Ayuk. You had your offensive play caller. Like, why do they need CMC? So, I wasn't really happy about that when that happened last year. And you guys are playing even better this year. And a part of that is like what we were talking about early, Brock Purdy, right? Because he's been able to just execute that offense at a level that the previous QBs had not been doing. And he's been able to do that for the most part consistently, right? For the most part. So I feel like that offense is such a juggernaut in that you have so many options, right? It's like, is it going to be Debo or is it going to be CMC just going to? And it's not just rushing. You also got him in the passing game. Debo actually runs. You get him in the. I coined this last year. I was like, the 49ers have a wide receiver who can also run and a running back who can also be a receiver. Mm-hmm. And you have both of them in the names of Debo, and CMC. Like, why? Does any team need all of that? IU just decided, like, yo, I'm here. I'm playing. Throw me the ball. And Brock Purdy has been throwing Ayuk the ball. And Ayuk has been catching the ball. And don't forget, even if you tackle all that, Kittle is still hanging out here on the side. Don't think we forgot you, Kittle. He can go out there and act like he's blocking somebody and then come open and get the ball, take it for a touchdown to the house, right? So there's just so many options with you all. And you have a coach who knows how to operate and get those guys, in these different positions so that you can score. So I feel like this team, your offense, will be the toughest Ravens matchup that the defense have seen, this season, right? Even with the two games we have after that. And this is no shade on those other two teams. I just feel like this 49ers offense is the toughest. It will definitely be a test for our defense. I will say, don't be fooled by what you saw or thought you saw in the Jags game or the Rams game. Like, don't take that and be like, you know what? Yeah, they're not. Don't do that, because that goes back to the part that I said at the beginning about teams getting up for certain teams. They kind of know what they're going into, right? So he's gonna coach McDonald, and I have confidence in him, right? I have confidence in my DC that he's gonna have to dial up, but it's just that somebody's gonna slip through. You can't cover every single person, so we're just gonna have to, do what we can do. I'm still confident in my team, very much so. But I think your offense, this will be the best defense that you've seen this season. Yes, I think for your offense, this will be the best defense, other maybe than the Browns. Because you already saw the Browns, and the Bengals defense played very well. I think it's the AFC North thing. We just kind of have those kind of defenses in the AFC North. Like, you got to have defense in our division. You just have to. So if you don't have a good defense in our division, you will literally drown in our division. You got to have a good defense. So I think this will be the best defense that you've seen. Could say tied with the Browns. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that, because that defense has been performing very, very well. So I think it's a test for both. And I think it's going to be a lot. You don't necessarily stop the 49ers. You know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily stop them from scoring, but you try to slow them down. And then more importantly, on your offense, you try to keep up. You need to score in your offense so you can keep up with their offense. Because eventually, you might can hold them for a little while, but something's going to break loose and one of them are going to score. So it's just a matter of slowing them down and, more importantly, you being able to score as many points as the 49ers are doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You have anything else, Steph, before we get score predictions?
So I guess this is a good segue into the score prediction, and so I just wanted to ask, okay, wait,
ladies, excuse me. Y'all wanted to talk about y'all offense and our defense. What about your defense to our offense? We just gonna skip over that?
We started the show talking about, the run game and Lamar and, all that.
Right, but how is y'all defense going to address our offense?
So here's what I'll say. Obviously a big test for the 49ers. I think it helps. While I know Lamar is a different beast as far as like mobile quarterbacks go, I think it has helped the 49ers a little bit that they have faced some mobile quarterbacks this season, right? Lamar is different. I understand that. But I think like just the philosophy of playing the contain game, like as you have to with all those quarterbacks, I think is important. I think that's going to apply to this game as well. I think that's going to be important. I think the injury is going to be an issue. Hargrave seems like he's on the positive side of playing in this one. That'll help. But Eric Armstead, unlikely to play. You know, he's a long shot as well.
On your list.
Yeah. So he's a long shot according to Kyle. And so, that could make way for, the Ravens offense to have some success in their run game, maybe more than, the 49ers would like. But I think, like, first and foremost, obviously that's like one of the biggest things to stop. But I'm more focused on, because the Ravens have kind of also turned into more of a drop back, passing offense, even though they do pass the least. I think stop the run game first and just make sure you can cover. I love our secondary right now, the way it's been playing. Mooney Ward, if he can get some interceptions to fall like he did last week, I feel good about that. If there's any linebackers who are going to be able to go sideline to sideline and limit Lamar, not have him run more than 10 yards, let's say, on, any run that he has, it would be Fred and it would be Greenlaw. So I feel good about that. They're going to maybe have a spy on him, not sure. But it's going to be a test. Like, it's definitely going to be a test. And I think one thing I also wanted to mention is, like, the Ravens are this like really physical defense, right? Like you mentioned, I think the 49ers are also like that kind of team that, and their defense steps up in these big moments too. I think Fred tends to have like his best games against some of the best teams, right? And so I think there's going to be some hits laid in this game. Like you're going to hear a lot of helmets crunching, some hard hits. I can't wait for that, just for as a fan of football, to see the physicality come out of both of these teams. I think it's going to be a big test for both sides. What about you, Miriah? What do you think?
Yeah. When the schedule first came out and I looked at it at the beginning of the season, I had already circled this as the biggest test for the 49ers. We know that the 49ers defense and defenses in general obviously have a hard time stopping dual threat quarterbacks. This season, the 49ers have been a lot better at it. But I think they have to continue playing that, like they did with the Eagles, where like you're not rushing, our line's not rushing to get a sack, right? Like they have to play unselfish football. Don't worry about, their stats, their numbers, whatever, and just contain Lamar the best they possibly can. But yeah, I mean, this is the biggest test, and obviously probably the biggest test for us going into the playoffs. And yeah, it honestly scares the shit out of me because like Lamar, he's crazy, like how do you stop somebody that can literally pick you apart every spot of the field? And if you're covering, he can just take off and run, it's like, so yeah, I think obviously this is a huge test for them. You talked about Fred and Greenlaw. That's, our saving grace there. But yeah, Armstead being out is huge. We really needed Hargrave and Armstead for this game. Obviously, I'm more than thrilled that Hargrave, should be back because you've seen our run defense has took a hit with those guys out. And then last week, losing Kalia Davis, like we're very, very thin across the D line right now. So God forbid if somebody goes down in that game, we're screwed because we don't have very many guys that we're gonna have to pull in the freaking corners to play D line and shit because we have like nobody. But yeah, this is probably the game, like obviously, guys know when I do my score predictions, like I'm never giving the other team any credit, but this is the team that definitely scares me the most in this entire season.
So yeah, like it being that both of these teams are very evenly matched, being that they're very balanced, both really good offenses, both really good defenses. Are we kind of thinking this is going to be more of a defensive battle, or is it going to be a shootout? Which one is it going to be?
You can never go wrong with Ray Lewis, 49ers throwback. Appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
Our games tend to be defensive games. However, that's the way they've been historically, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe 20, 23 points, 17 points, somebody winning by a field goal. But our offenses are so much more improved and potent than what they were, I would say, in our other, when we've met in the past. Your offense is humming, right? Mm-hmm. And our offense is significantly better. More balanced. We actually have a passing game and our run game. So I don't know. It may be one of those things where, each team is able to break off a little something and catch somebody, right? A blown coverage or catch somebody on a play they didn't expect. I'm sure, mm-hmm. We know Shanahan always has a lot of stuff up his sleeves, right? And I'm sure there are a lot of plays that Monken has kept close to his heart and probably has not thrown out this season, right? So he's kept a little something in the vault. Ravens fans will get that. So I do think it'll be more defense than offense, but I think our offenses will definitely be able to shake something out somewhere, because I think like your offense is like just that good, and I think our offense will be able to get ours too. I don't expect it to be high scoring. But yeah. When I say high scoring, like each of like 30 plus points apiece.
Yeah.
If it's 30 plus points apiece, then definitely
that's crazy.
Our defense has failed.
Yeah, like that's crazy. That would be quite the game.
Yeah.
So do you have a score prediction? Have you thought about it?
No. I literally never do score predictions for any game, for any Ravens game. This is what I'll say, and then I'll give you the other piece. So I just always say, as long as when the clock strikes 0-0, 0-0, the Ravens have at least one more point than the other team, I'm taking that dub and going home. Yeah. We don't have to beat you by any amount. As long as it's 1 point, I'm good. So, and I say that literally every single week for every single team we play. So that's how I roll. I would just say this: the point differential for whoever wins, in my mind right now, should be 3 to 6 points, maybe something like that. Maybe a score, maybe 7 points. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 7 points. I don't see either of our teams. I was told by Niner Mike that we were going to get packed up. That's what he said. You gotta love Niner Mike, man.
Yeah, he always
he knows
crazy.
I love him. He knows I love him. He knows I love him. But I asked the question, what is packed up, Mike? How many points is packed up? I need to know. And he told me 10 points or more is packed up. So I'm still saying the Ravens will not get packed up. We ain't go all the way to California on Christmas.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I can't give an actual score prediction. I think it'll be close. I think if somebody is able to, win by, 2 scores or more, then something definitely happened on one of our teams. You know what I'm saying? Something definitely happened. So that's the best that I can. That's the most that I can give you on that.
Steph, okay. What you got?
Okay, so earlier in the week, I've kind of had 2 predictions because early in the week, like the injuries were unclear, and so I kind of had a prediction of like if Hargrave and Armstead, both of them would be out, that the offense would have to score more points. So that prediction was a little more high scoring. It was 34-27. But now that we know that Hargrave is probably on the positive side of being able to play, I'm going to switch it up a bit. But of course, I got to give it to the 49ers. And what I'm looking at here, I think I respect the Ravens defense enough to say that the 49ers won't score over 30. So you're welcome, Miss Gina. But, I gotta look at the way that the 49ers have handled like some of their other big tests this season as far as like, big offenses go or balanced teams go. Like I'm thinking about Cowboys, I'm thinking about Eagles. At the time that the 49ers played both of those teams, they're really good teams. I know the Eagles have kind of, fallen apart in the last few, but, they're still considered good at the time. And the 49ers packed them up, right? So I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout or anything, but I'll say 28-19 is what I'll say.
Wow.
Okay, that's a
I'm
pack
going.
up there.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, I don't know.
At
'cause,
least
like,
based
I don't
off
think.
of Dynamite, that's a pack up because it's double digits.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a modest pack up, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a carry on.
I'm with Steph. I think it's gonna, and Niner Mike. It's gonna be a pack up. Really, I'm not as confident. I'm not that confident at all. Like, I could definitely see the 49ers, dropping this game. Thankfully that it's an AFC team, so it won't hurt us too much. But of course, I don't want us to freaking lose regardless, right? But I'm going 31-20. 49ers, obviously.
Okay, so y'all sticking with the double digits, 11 points. I hear you. I hear you.
Miss Gina, you have,
and I hear you.
You have anything that you want to plug or anything? Let the people know where they can find you before we get out of here.
Absolutely. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me on here. I've really enjoyed, this is a game, like you said, we've both been looking forward to, both coming in 11-3 in their respective conferences, both with the opportunity to lock up the number. No, we can't lock up the number. No, we can lock up. No, we cannot. You can lock up the number one seed if you beat us, right?
Yeah.
We can't lock up the number one seed yet. We need the Browns to lose, and then we probably need one more game like next week's game. But we can lock up the division if we win and the Browns lose Monday night. We can lock up the division, but not the number one seed. But I'm Miss Gina. People can actually call me Gina. Twitter started calling me Miss Gina. I'm like, why are you calling me this? We're just in here talking football. I tried to fight it, I couldn't, so I gave up. So I'm like, just go ahead, lean into it. So Miss Gina, I'm always in Twitter Spaces, some space somewhere. I host a space for all primetime games, and this is one of them. So all of the primetime games, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and even these Saturday games, I'm hosting a space for them. So you can make sure you follow me at is She Talks Football, as you can see right there. On Twitter is only one L in football though, so it's all together. She Talks Football, one L. So you can add me there, follow me there, so you get the notifications when I throw up the spaces for all the primetime games and all the other games. I do have a podcast, She Talks Football, which I have been very slowful about. It had not officially started back this season. But I'm whipping my own tail, and we're going to get this back crack-a-lacking before the postseason starts. So you can follow me on YouTube at She Talks Football again. Also, I am a part of the Undroppables platform. The Undroppables, if you are into fantasy football, it is NFL and fantasy football. It is a lot of hardcore fantasy football info, but it is both. It is NFL. So definitely go follow the Undroppables on Twitter. Go follow the Undroppables on YouTube. And I'll see you in these Twitter streets. And believe you me, after that game Monday, is one way or the other. It's going to be rowdy in these Twitter streets. We'll be in Sports After Dark afterward. Somebody's going to be happy and somebody is not. And it is what it is. It's football. I'm going to stand 10 toes down for my team at all times. If we win, I'm standing 10 toes down. If we lose, I'm still standing 10 toes down, still rocking my purple glasses, still will have purple hair, and still going to be saying, go Ravens.
I love it.
There you have it. Steph, any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just want to say, Miss Gina or Gina, I appreciate you coming on today. This was awesome. Really great insights about your team. We kept it respectful in here too.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that as well. I'm not as big in the, what's it called? Why do I keep forgetting the spaces
Yes.
thing? Once in a while, I'll pop in there, but maybe after this game I'll hop in. But yeah, just appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing, because love seeing women in this space talking about
Yes.
football and all that.
Absolutely.
Can't have enough of
Yep.
it. So definitely appreciate you.
Appreciate
Yep.
you, ladies. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Yes. Merry Christmas
Love
to
is gonna have
everybody that
our Christmas
celebrates.
ruined. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And feel better
Um,
soon, Miriah.
Sorry,
Thank you so
it
much.
was lagging a bit on my side.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I second, everything Steph said. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate everything that you do for women in sports in general. We definitely need more of that, and, need women supporting each other. That's kind of why we started this podcast. Just to get other female fans from the other team, get, their perspective, because a lot of podcasts out there, they do like a behind enemy lines type things, but of course it's all guys. It's guys that run the
Right.
platform to begin with. It's guys guests that they're having on, which is fine. But I kind of just wanted to switch things up so we can get the women's voices out here. So I definitely appreciate you so much for coming on. Chat, Merry Christmas. I hope everybody has a safe and wonderful weekend and holiday. And me and
Absolutely.
Steph will see you back here next week at our regular time, Thursday at 3 Pacific time. But yeah, until then, we're out of here.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.